really all about making intentional decisions that ensure that not only do you show up in your best light, but you're also communicating your strength and your confidence.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Grow Your Business Smarter, Live Your Optimal Life. Today, I have a special guest with us. Our guests are all special, every single last one of them. And today, our special guest is going to be one of my favorite friends. And of course, I hope she will also become really, really special to you as well. My dear friend, Teresa Hnat, who I'm going to invite to turn her camera on, is amazing when it comes to that visual art of storytelling. So here's the deal, guys. For the past 2 years, everybody and their mother has been online. We've talked about this before. Everybody and their grandmother has a podcast. Everybody and their mother has a web show. Everybody's online in a way that they haven't been before, using that wonderful, wonderful media that is online to grow their businesses. However, what that means for you is that, and what it means for me too, is that it's probably just a little bit more interesting when it comes to getting our message out there. Now we have to be a little bit more creative. We have to be a little bit more thoughtful. We have to be a little bit more focused in determining who are we calling in, what's the message that we're putting out there, and how are we getting through to the people who are, guys, they're losing sleep at night because they need the work that you do, but they don't know how to connect with you. They need to connect with you, and the work that you're doing is important. And so this is one of the reasons that I thought it was imperative to bring on dear friend Teresa to come talk with us as an expert storyteller about what to do, the exactly what to do, the do's and the don'ts of sharing our beautiful, precious, precious message as we share in this new online soundbite type world. So Teresa, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. And may I invite you to please share with everybody, who are you and what's the wonderful stuff that you're doing in the world?
Sure. So I am Teresa. I'm the owner of Teresa Hnat Studio, and I'm a brand photographer and brand videographer, but I like to consider myself a soulful storyteller. And I'm really out here to capture the soul and the heart of your business. Of course, we want to capture what you do, but what people will connect with is that soul and that heart and the passion that you have. So that's really what I want to convey. I want to capture that soul so we can move people emotionally. And when you move someone or touch someone emotionally, it has like a far better impact than just throwing out some tidbits and facts. It's really the power of emotion, which is tied into the power of story.
So I love that you're talking about the power of story and the power of emotion and touching people's heart. And I have been really encouraging our viewers, our audience, our listeners to please don't be throwing spaghetti at the walls, because the truth of the matter is we as entrepreneurs, a lot of us, we're amazing at the work that we do. We're so good. But when it comes to this whole idea of marketing, I'm going to throw out a statistic here. 80% of entrepreneurs do not have a marketing degree. I don't know if that's a true statistic, guys. I just made that up on the spot. But hey, it sounded way better than me just postulating, right? Look, the majority of us, we're excellent at the thing that we do, but we're not necessarily excellent when it comes to marketing. And without the numbers. I'm sure you can agree with that. And so, Teresa, I want to find out from you. Tell us, give us a little bit of a backstory. Tell us a little bit about how you ended up doing this kind of work. Like, what's the thing that spoke to your heart that made you understand that our entrepreneurs out there need you because we really don't know what we're doing?
I think it all comes down to impact, creating change. I grew up with a dad who was an entrepreneur. He had his own business. I had several family members who were also entrepreneurs and owned their own businesses. So I saw the power of small business up close and personal. I've also had the opportunity to work in small businesses, and I've also had that corporate job as well. So I've seen kind of both worlds, both ends of the spectrum. And small business, like it just, being an entrepreneur or having a small business, you create this change in your community and a change in the people that you touch. It's so much more personal and intimate than, you know, corporate America, and which is just kind of cold, emotionless, blah, like, ugh. And I've just, after working for small businesses, that itself called to me. And when I started my own business, I kind of was doing everything when it came to photography. It was like families and weddings and babies, and none of those really sparked me. But the first time I did a brand session or a photo session, it was just like, oh, I want to do this, because I saw
Teresa, I love that. Tell us a little bit more about what happened on that first photo shoot that you did that was a brand photo shoot.
So first off, like I got to be super creative, which I'm all about, thinking outside the box and being a little kooky and doing something that's different from the norm. And when it came to families or babies, there's kind of like a formula there, and most people just want those traditional family portraits. They really don't want to do anything kooky or out of the box, which I get, you know, you're putting it on your wall, but like I want to be kooky and out of the box. So when I was pitching ideas to my first session and she was like, yeah, let's do that. Oh, let's go into the water. Let's do this. I was like so excited by it because I got to see just the versatility of a brand session and how every single one was going to be very different from the next. Even if I had multiple people in the same industry, those sessions are really going to be different based on that person, what their unique gift is and their personality. So that to me was so exciting to get to do something different every single day.
Awesome. I absolutely love that. What's your favorite, most absolute favorite session that you've done so far?
Oh, that's hard. Oh my God. There's been so many that I've called like unicorn days because they were just amazing days. Not only because of the person I worked with and what we created, but just other things that happened. I mean, I do love this session I did with Liz Hill last spring. That was a lot of fun. And then recently I did a session down in Chester, and Senator Murphy came by while we were there. So I got to meet the senator, which was just cool in itself because it's not every day like that gets, that happens. So I feel like that's another thing I love about these sessions is I go all over the place. So it's always an adventure, always something crazy happening, I feel like, which is good crazy.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about, here's the thing. The name of our show is Grow Your Business Smarter, Live Your Optimal Life. And so we're going to dive definitely deeply into this idea of growing your business smarter through the sort of storytelling that you do, Teresa. But one of the pieces of living our optimal lives is definitely going to be infusing more joy and infusing more pure positive energy into our lives and infusing self-care. So what are your recommendations? What are your heartfelt recommendations when it comes to this whole idea of infusing self-care in with your business as well?
I mean, I do think it is going to be different for everybody depending on what your personal needs are. I am an introvert, so I need a lot of downtime, especially when it comes to creating, because of the amount of energy I put into that. I put my whole self into creating a unique experience for every single person, which can be draining at the end of the day. So for me, being in nature is always very rejuvenating. I try to take time to do that. Even after a session, sometimes I'll just stay at the park maybe a little later and just walk around and kind of decompress. And journaling, I've gotten back into journaling again. I created my own like moon cycle journal for this year, which I've been experimenting with. And every cycle I set a new intention, which has been very beneficial, actually. It's been interesting to try that. When I started, a lot of them were very business-based, and over time they've become more self-focused, like self-improvement, mindset. Like this month I'm working on mindset is the thing I need to work on. And then I think boundaries. Everybody needs boundaries because it's really easy to overwhelm and overload ourselves and then totally burn out. So you need to have those boundaries. I know they're scary to put in place sometimes, but they have been just a gift for me personally. So I definitely recommend boundaries.
I recommend boundaries. Also, I love to invite people to remember that no is a complete sentence and no thank you is a perfect sentence. So I love that you remind us about boundaries, about taking time for downtime. One of the quotes from, I think it's Einstein, but guys, don't ever quote me on quotes. I hear all of them. I attribute them to the wrong people all the time. So send me all those tweets correcting me about what the quote is. Here's the quote that I think is so important for remembering. Einstein, I think, said that the downtime that he would take would have to be equivalent to his work time, because the downtime was actually when the work was taking place, when all the creativity was flowing in, and then his work time was actually just him transcribing that information. So I love that you remind us so eloquently that downtime is actually part of this creative process. So let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about how can we get our optimal clients, those people who are losing sleep at night because they need the work that we do. How can we get them to find us in this crazy crowded media landscape that we're a part of now? What are your suggestions as an expert in this field for us as entrepreneurs who are not versed on marketing?
I have two things that I think I see as the biggest mistakes that people tend to make in their businesses. First is target audience. They have such a broad target audience. They're trying to speak to too many people and it's muddling their message. And I have fallen into that trap as well. So I totally understand. And it can be really scary to really niche down. So like, for example, my target audience when I first started was women in business. Well, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of freaking people. And my message was all over the place. I've niched down recently to specifically really focusing on women entrepreneurs who are therapists. Those are the people I truly want to work with. My mom was an LCSW. I have super respect for that industry, for the field. As someone who struggled with mental health, I totally understand the value of what they are providing. So I want to help the helpers. It has become so much easier to write my content, to write my messaging, because I know exactly who I am talking to versus before I was talking to everybody and not everybody's going to want the same message. So really taking a good hard look at who you serve, who you want to serve, and writing your content and your messaging specifically towards them. Other people will still trickle in and find you, but the core of who you're going to serve, you need to really be clear about. And then the other mistake I see all the time is it's around intention. So really thinking about what the goal of your marketing is. Even if it's a post you put on Instagram, what is the goal of that post? What do you want to happen? Do you want someone to go to your website? Do you want them to sign up for your newsletter? So really thinking about that intentionally as you write the content, as you post. You don't want to just be throwing stuff up because it's just not going to do anything. Like, you need to have a strategy. It doesn't need to be complicated, but it just some basis of a strategy and intention with everything you do.
I love that. So basically you're saying, don't just, as we were saying before, throw spaghetti at the wall. Don't just do things randomly. Actually have a plan. Know who are the people who you really at your core want to communicate with. Who are they? And then you can write directly, speak directly to them, and also making sure that there is intention behind everything that we do. And I know I see that a lot, even in the promotions that our company puts out there. Like, what is it that we want people to do? Do we want them to join our Ladies Power Lunch Facebook group? Is that the intention? Is the intention for them to hop onto our mailing list so that they'll get our emails about the things that we're doing? Is our intention for them to come watch our show here? What exactly is it that we're trying to communicate? And so there is really it's really important for us to think about what it is that where we should be focusing. So that hits a little bit about the don'ts. What about some of the do's, some of the things that we should really be doing as we head into marketing our businesses?
So I think harnessing that power of story is really important, because I still don't see a lot of people really doing it, which is surprising. But again, I think it's about being intentional with what stories you share and how they tie into your brand. You don't want to just be willy-nilly with it. So for example, I have my own personal struggles with anxiety, and especially socially, like social anxiety. So I like to put my stories out there because I know other people have a lot of anxiety when it comes to being front and center of their business, being on camera. I share my stories, so I help them understand. I know what they're, where they're coming from. I have struggled with that as well. So then they also connect with my story because they go, oh, she gets it. She was, that first grader who didn't want to sharpen her pencils because she was afraid everyone would stare at her when she got in front of the class. So that me sharing my stories of my own personal struggles with anxiety specifically, it ties into my brand, and it helps my target audience connect with me on a more personal level.
So Teresa, it's really outstanding that you share your story about your experience with social anxiety, and it helps to pull in your clients. But what about the rest of us? Share maybe a story with us about a client that you've had who's told her story in such a way that it actually magnetizes her clients.
The first person that comes to my mind is Ria, who is a healthcare advocate. And we did some videos together back in February, and she started out as a nurse. So she talked about her experiences in the healthcare system and the struggles that she would see patients have because they just didn't know how to navigate this mess of a system that we have. It was so overwhelming to them. They were so stressed out by it. And she wanted to create change there. She wanted to help support these people who might be a caregiver for an aging parent, or might have a child that needs extra medical care. And these poor people were so lost and confused. And she shared that story of watching that, seeing these her patients who she wanted to care for and support, but she could only support them so far because of her role as a nurse. So that's why she transitioned into being a healthcare advocate, because it gave her more power to help them in a way they really needed help.
Okay, so that's great, but how is she transitioning that information? How is she using that story with visual storytelling to convey her message? How exactly does that all work out?
So, I mean, when we made her videos, we talked a lot about how we want people to feel when they watch the video. So, do we want them to feel stressed out? Do we want them to feel relieved? We ended up doing a couple of videos that at the beginning, it really harnessed that that stress that one feels when they're, trying to call the doctor, trying to call the insurance company. Oh my God, that's just the worst experience. And just frustration and the stress of that. So we captured that. And then we showed the transition of her coming in, working with someone, the relief they felt. So at the end of the video, you had that change that you saw the transition in the video. The person at the beginning is stressed out, intense and frustrated. At the end, they're relaxed, they're relieved, they're happy, smiling because of what the work that Rhea does. She really helps people get a handle on things and feel more empowered and in control. And that was her goal, was to have people feel in control of their healthcare journey. So we showed the transition of that. So depending on the industry, it really depends on what kind of emotions you might want someone to feel, but I would definitely tap into emotion. Think about, do you want them to feel inspired, happy, sad, stressed out, fearful, whatever it is, make sure your visuals convey that.
So how is the question I want to really ask is, how is it better to tell that story with video or photos compared to just writing a blog post?
So, I mean, people are visual. It's our eyes, we rely on our eyes more than any other sense. If I were to say to you, like if I were to describe to you a bowl of pasta, a big bowl of pasta, with heapings of sauce and meatballs and a glass of red wine next to it, you're going to visualize that in your brain. Even if you're reading those words, the picture is in your brain. Sadly, we are all kind of lazy too. So when you market, you want to make things as easy as possible. So you're putting that visual out there. You're putting that bowl of pasta out there. So you don't have to have someone try and visualize it. The visual is there. If you're a restaurant trying to get people to come in and eat your amazing pasta, you want a picture of your amazing pasta out there because people won't have to try to visualize it. It's there and the work is done for them and it entices them and excites them. So visuals are powerful because people rely on visuals. We think visually.
That makes perfect sense. I totally see how, that would be beneficial for a client who's, say, looking for community, which is what we offer at Ladies Power Lunch, looking for community, seeing pictures, which, by the way, just want to mention, Teresa was our official photographer and videographer for our Ladies Power Lunch Summit. So seeing pictures of and video of us at Summit and hugging each other and hanging out, I think evokes that emotion of togetherness in a way that me just writing a blog post or writing a social post about, oh, we had a great summit, the pictures kind of tell the story a little bit better. So I totally get that. Anything that you want us to leave with, like if we remember none of the other things that you, Teresa, have mentioned today, what's like one really salient takeaway that you'd love for us to have as we go back to marketing our businesses and being better visual storytellers so that we can attract our ideal client?
I think, again, it really comes down to impact and just remembering the impact that you want to make on the world and being very intentional with that when it comes to your wordage. Because I mean, words still are important. And when it comes to your visuals, even if you're using stock photos, really be intent. Don't just slap a photo up, really be intentional. Make sure it represents your vision and your brand. because if it doesn't, it muddles the message and nothing will connect and click. So you just want to be intentional really with everything you do.
That makes sense. I know as a photographer and videographer, a lot of people are out there raising their hands and waving their hands and saying, hey, Davia, but you didn't ask her about what happens when we're hesitant to get in front of the camera. So, Teresa, some of us, we have always been hesitant to get in front of the camera. Not me, I run in front of the camera, but some of us are hesitant. Some of us, we're even more hesitant now because we might feel as though our visual, taking pictures or videos of ourselves, especially in this post-pandemic situation, might not be exactly the same as we were before. What kind of advice do you have for us as we get back out there into the world?
So much advice. Okay. First, just do it. Just be Nike and just do it. The more you get out there, the easier it becomes. So you could even start by just filming yourself on your phone and then deleting that, because at least you're just getting the practice of speaking in front of the camera. So start there. If you have to start anywhere, start there and then work your way up. But the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll become and the more confident you'll become. And I've seen clients change so much from doing a couple of brand sessions over the course of a year. At the beginning, that first session, they're a little awkward, they're a little closed in. And then by that second or third session, they're out there and they're excited and they want to be in front of the camera and they embrace it. And it's just so much fun to watch that transformation. And then my other piece of advice would be just, if you decide you do want to have professional photos or videos, work with someone that you really connect with and that makes you feel comfortable. So maybe that's not me, and that's okay. It's really important to work with a professional that makes you feel at ease, helps you feel confident, helps you feel comfortable, and really supports you through the whole process. Because I get it, it is scary to be vulnerable. It's you're being vulnerable by stepping in front of the camera. So really work with someone that helps put you at ease, and then know that a true professional will be sure to capture you in your best light. That's what working with a professional is all about. They know the best angles. They know how to pose the body so that it looks flattering. There's ways to pose the body that will make anybody look bigger, and there's ways to pose that will make anybody look smaller. So that's the goal of working with a professional, is they know how to do their craft, and it will help you in the end.
I'm looking forward, Teresa, to hanging out with you. I think it's next week, Tuesday, we're hanging out. We have our upcoming book launch. It's going to be in October for the Ladies Power Launch Anthology, Heterarchy, the Leading Edge of Leadership. And we are going to be taking photos with our authors, and Teresa is going to be taking pictures with us next week. So I'm really looking forward to actually eyeballing to eyeball with you next week. That's going to be tons of fun. But Teresa, our friends who are watching with us, they might be wondering, how do I get in touch with this amazing woman? How can they find you?
So my website is teresahnat.com, and there is a contact form on there if you want to go that route. My email is teresa@teresahnat.com, and the social platform I hang out the most on is Instagram. So my handle is @Teresa Hnat Studio. So you can always DM me there. I am always on Instagram these days, unfortunately. So
But she's very cute on Instagram, guys. So follow her because she is adorable and she loves to drink tea, and so do I. And so I just love to see all of the creative, crazy posts that she has. She is not your traditional photographer, not your traditional videographer. She comes up with great ideas, lots of creativity, and just brings that creativity to helping your brand to stand out. Teresa, thanks so much for sharing with us today. And as usual, before we go, I want to share just a thought for the week, something to keep us going as we go through our day to day. So I pulled a card for us, and the card for today says, "Beyond the mind, the heart beats." This is from The Sacred Rebels by Alana Fairchild, and it says, "This oracle comes with guidance for you. Deep within, you know what to do. You know what is true. It matters not whether the mind and its plans seem to agree with your inner sense, your willingness to trust your heart and to rebel against fear will serve you well. Let your heart lead you. Be sure of your faith and trust in what you feel. I wonder if this article is suggesting that getting in front of the camera, for those of us who might have some fear surrounding that, is something that we should just embrace, just take it from a heart level instead of from a head level. That's what I'm getting from this card. But what are you getting from this card? Guys, it's been an amazing opportunity to hang out with you guys. I am looking forward with great anticipation to seeing you on the next show. Thank you so much to everybody who joined us today, and see you next time. Bye, everyone.